Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to a video that is full of firsts. This is the first time I have looked at a watch from a company based in Thailand. This is a Wise, and that is where they hail from. And it's the first time I have reviewed a watch with a 24 karat gold dial. I have looked at a couple of two-tones by Tudor and by Rolex, but I have never seen this much gold on a micro brand before. Now, if you are into micro brands, I'm sure you've heard of Wise. They're not a new company. Indeed, this watch is to celebrate their 15th anniversary. But it seems to me that it's only been over the last couple of years they've started to use social media to raise awareness of their watches. The brand owner, Patty, has been asking me for some time if I would like to review one of his pieces. This gold one caught my eye, so I was delighted to say yes. As such, this video is sponsored by Wise. I will therefore, of course, leave a link to their website in the description of the video. It's an intriguing combination, this one. 24 karat gold, 904L stainless steel, more normally associated with Rolex, but all for well under $750 US. The eternal question remains though, is it any good? Let's flip the camera and find out. Alright, let's get into it, and let's start by looking at the packaging. You do get plenty of packaging for your dollars today, and it's rather nice as well. Outer sleeve followed by black outer cardboard box, followed by wood look piano lacquer inner box. Pop the top on that one and you've got some nice golden hinges to go with the golden font and frankly the golden watch. This one comes with a choice of two straps. I like brown, so I left it on the brown. I even got my own personalised little hang tag. Wise, proud to be Thailand, Jody, just one more watch. Now, if you pull those two little tabs either side, they reveal even more goodies, including the world's smallest polishing cloth, a warranty card, a second strap that is black and just as nice as the first strap, and a set of spare quick release spring bars should you lose one or the other of your existing pairs. So the packaging and unboxing experience is very nice indeed. And to clarify the price on these, $770, but I was offered a $50 off discount code, taking that down to $720. They're going to be making 999 of these. It looks like they're into the mid 160s already. So I don't think there's any desperate rush. I don't think they're going to sell out by next Friday. Let's put it that way. Keep that price in your head as you watch the footage. We will come back to it at the end of the review. But never mind the price, what about the watch? Well, it is pretty spectacular looking, as I'm sure you will agree. And as far as the case is concerned, it's as close as I've seen to a Rolex Oyster case on a watch that wasn't a homage of a Rolex Oyster case watch. It has very similar lines, similar side profile, and a similar size and proportions overall. Both leather straps are fitted, so there's no gap to speak of between the case and the strap. And it's a lovely piece of boxed, flat sapphire crystal covering the dial, plenty of AR under that as well. But let's cut to the chase, let's cut to the dial. That's why we're here today. The dial is why this watch exists at all. And what a dial it is too. Obviously it is filled with 24 karat gold, but depending on the light it can look a little bit more silvery champagne on occasions, and it's such complex patterning they've used that deliberately encourages the dial to play with the light. There are well over 100 of those little squares on the dial, each of those containing 8 sub blocks. It's almost like an old washboard, if you see what I mean, with a peak in the middle of each one, meaning they come and go as you move the watch around in sunlight. It is nothing short of spectacular, even on a dull day. It's like a little golden party on your wrist. Now, obviously, that's going to be a bit too much for some people. The whole watch is going to be a bit too much for some people, but for others, there's simply nothing else on the market like this for a price like this. So that was the dial. What about the case? Well, the case today is made of 904L stainless steel. That's a grade of steel more normally associated with Rolex. And as discussed, this is a very Rolex looking and Rolex feeling case. It's beautifully smooth to the touch though, and very slim despite a considerable piece of sapphire. So what is so special, if anything, about 904L stainless steel? Why does Rolex use it in all of their watches? Well, Rolex probably uses it for marketing and for a point of difference, but it does have certain advantages, but also certain disadvantages over the more commonly used 316L stainless steel. If you have a quick look at this chart, courtesy of Keep the Time, I'll leave a link to their excellent article in the description of the video. You can see on the second line, 904 has a slightly higher chromium content, so it's a little bit shinier. You can also see higher copper and nickel content than 316L. This actually improves its corrosion resistance long term, but you can see on the bottom two lines that it's also slightly softer relative to 316L. So, shinier, harder to work with, more expensive to buy and more corrosion resistant, but also slightly softer. In terms of dimensions, this one comes in at 37.5mm in diameter. It's only 10.2mm thick, including a piece of box dome sapphire crystal. Lug to lug is 44mm, the gap between the lugs is 20mm, and as supplied on either of the leather bands, it weighs the same, only 56 grams. Water resistance is 50 meters. The crystal, as discussed, is box flat sapphire, and the movement is a Miyota 9039. But what a 9039! I've never seen a gold one before. I didn't know they existed before this watch arrived in Sydney in December. It's a good looking movement to begin with, but the gold tone really sets it off, and of course is thoroughly appropriate today. Wise has also added custom printing to the rotor, heralding the fact that last year was their 15th anniversary in business. It may be gold, but the specs are the same. 24 jewel, hacking and hand winding, Japanese made automatic. Plenty of decoration for you there, some Tokyo stripes, and a reasonable set of tolerances from -20 to +30 seconds per day maximum variance. Just remember, the rotor only winds in one direction, meaning it spins freely in the other direction. The two supply straps are excellent. They're not what you would describe as contemporary though. They definitely date the watch overall, but they are so comfortable straight out the box. They're Wise branded, they're nicely stitched, they're quick release, they have curved spring bars helping them snug the case, double retainers, and a really lovely buckle and tang with the Wise brand name on them. We've had a look at the dial already. Let's talk about some of the technical elements. All indices are applied, high polished silver faceted wedges all round, with lume embedded in their outer edges all round. They both slope and taper towards the pinion. The index at 12 is slightly different. It's a larger pentagonal shape with even more lume and even more angled facets, as if there weren't enough angled facets on that dial already. The Wise brand name is applied and the model name Adamascus underneath is in black, matching the black printed minute track that sits beyond the indices. You can also see here from this shot some concentric circle work that raises that minute track up above the faceted dial surface. The hands are pretty simple, silver swords, again faceted, again lume filled with a flat diamond tipped second hand. The only other thing that I need to point out is down at the bottom of the dial, proudly embossed are the words 24K gold filled dial, just in case you somehow forget. Lume is excellent, by the way. Perhaps you guessed by the amount of area given over to lume on the hands and on the indices. BGW9, so definitely going for the Rolex look after dark as well. Looks good initially and hangs on no problem during my test. On wrist, it's a very comfortable watch to wear. The case is beautifully smooth, it's well proportioned, and it's a compact watch to begin with. I actually think it looks more like a 39 on wrist than a 37.5, but you know, it's still very comfortable regardless. The straps are an absolute pleasure on wrist as well, comfortable and flexible from day one, and at less than 60 grams with all those curves on the case, you can wear this one all day long and barely know it's there. Very good, Jody. What are you going to complain about then? Well, as good as the straps are, where's the bracelet option? Why couldn't they have made a 904L steel bracelet to go along with this watch and really give the Oyster Perpetual a run for its money? 50 meters of water resistance is 50 too few in my opinion. With the lume, it's telling you it's a sports watch. With the water resistance, it's changed its mind and it's back to being a dress watch. And the Wise brand name font, as seen on the dial and on the buckle, is about as basic gets. It's just block capitals. It kind of reminds me of early Phoebus models. They did the same thing before they came up with the King Octopus. Maybe the ornate W that adorns the box should have also adorned the dial. And it's not really all that legible under a lot of circumstances, under real world conditions. The combination of that super blingy dial with the silver hands means the hands do rather get lost on certain occasions and from certain angles. So where does that leave us then today? Well, there's no doubt this is a really interesting proposition. I guess there are two ways of looking at it. $700+ US is a lot of money for a micro brand with this movement on a leather strap. However, as far as I'm aware, there just isn't anything else like this on the market at this price. A gold-filled dial, a nice piece of steel in combination for well under $1,000. If you want more gold than this, you're probably looking at a Tissot PRX with a gold bezel, but those are $2,000. I honestly can't think of anything else. If you can, please leave me a comment. So then it comes down to your personal perspective, whether you look up or down, and how much you enjoy gold. So there you have it. On one hand, $700 for a Miyota 9000 powered watch on leather strap is not cheap. On the other hand, $700 for a watch made of 904L steel with a 24 karat dial is cheap. Pick a hand. If you're into gold, why not have a look at a couple of two-tone big hitters, including my favourite watch from Mr. X's collection, his two-tone Rolex Submariner. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. I'll see you again in the next one.